Okay, yesterday we left off that about making 100 brachas a day, that whole thing. Now, when you hear a bracha from somebody and they're just saying, like making a bracha, Baruch atah Hashem, you're supposed to answer Baruch hu Baruch Shemo. Now, that's only though in a place where you're allowed to talk. Like after Baruch Shema, you're not allowed to talk, so then you can't say Baruch hu Baruch Shemo. You can only answer Amen on those places where you're allowed to answer Amen. In fact, there's a very interesting argument in Halacha. Let's say you're listening to the bracha on Shofar or Megillah, and you say, the Chazan says, Baruch or the one blowing Shofar says, Baruch atah Hashem, and you say, Baruch hu Baruch Shemo. The question is, are you yotze that bracha or not? Or by Kiddush, let's say somebody's making Kiddush, and you say, but the Chazan guy's making Kiddush, right? The bracha of Kiddush. You say, Baruch atah Hashem, and what happens is you say Baruch hu Baruch Shemo. So there's a Meram Shik that wants to say that in the Beis Medrash of the Chassam Sefer, this is what he writes, who is a student of the Chassam Sefer, he writes in the Chassam Sefer's Beis Medrash, people used to say Baruch hu Baruch Shemo, and the Chassam Sefer didn't protest. So therefore it meant that he was okay with it. The Alter Rebbe doesn't hold like that. A lot of other poskim don't hold like that. And they hold tak, if you say Baruch hu Baruch Shemo, let's say by Kiddush or Avdallah, whatever it is, you're taking not yotze. Because you were mafsik, you made a hefsik, you made a separation of something which was not allowed to be done. But you can answer Amen. Okay. Now another important din. We learned Shabbos afternoon, by the way, in the Tefillah class, that it says in the davening, where that part of davening, it says, Gadol Hashem iti, make God great with me, and we'll exalt, we'll praise His name together. So the Gemara learns out two things in brachas. One is that you have to make a mezumin. If three people eat together, they have to do, Rabbi Simavon Benchen, Rabbi Tzeinah. But another important thing they learn out from that pasuk, the pasuk says, Gadol Hashem iti, you should make God great with me. What do you mean with me? The Gemara learns out in brachas that you're not allowed to answer Amen louder than the one that makes the bracha. Because what does the pasuk say? You have to do it together. If you're going to scream loud and the guy saying the bracha quietly, it's not together. So there, I know the wrong people are not here. Yeah, I mean the right people are not here. So you're not allowed to answer Amen louder than the one that makes the bracha. The primary thing the Gemara says is about Amen. Now another din is you're not allowed to what's called Amen Chatufa or Amen Yisayma. Amen Chatufa means a grabbed Amen. You grab it. Amen Yisayma means an orphaned Amen. Sometimes people, they'll answer Amen before the guy even finishes the bracha. That's called a grabbed Amen. You're saying it before you're supposed to be saying it. You're supposed to say after the guy finishes the bracha, then you're supposed to say Amen. But if you can answer Amen while the guy's still making the bracha, it's called Amen Chatufa. Or another interpretation of Amen Chatufa is the guy says Amen, just grabs the words together instead of saying Amen. Amen Yisayma is called an orphaned Amen. What is the definition of an orphaned Amen? You don't say it as soon as the guy finishes the bracha. You wait a few 10, 15 seconds and then you say Amen. So that's called Amen Yisayma. That's called an orphaned Amen. Where you see this a lot is when kids laying the Torah. So a lot of times the guy makes the bracha and the Balkari, the kid, doesn't say Amen right away. He finds the place, and before he starts reading, he says, Amen. So that's already much after the guy finished the bracha. You have to say Amen, not earlier, not later. And when the guy finishes the bracha, whatever the bracha is, you have to say Amen.
Well, they're doing a long Amen so they can find the place while saying that.
Yeah, but really what the proper thing to do is say Amen. And then you'll find a place. Yeah. Amen has nothing to do with the beginning of Kriya, by the way. The beginning of the Torah reading has nothing to do with Amen. Amen, you have to say it properly. And Okay, here it also, the kids also brings on Yibi Akel Yism Navarich because it says Galo Shemiti. Now here's another interesting difference that the Sfardim and Ashkenazim have in a few brachas. You're not allowed to answer Amen after your own bracha. First of all, it sounds really ridiculous. I make a bracha, I'm saying, I'm praising Hashem, and then I say, yeah, I'm right. Amen means it's validated. So you say basically, I'm making a bracha, I'm praising Hashem, and Amen, yeah, what I said was right. So you don't do that. Where everybody says Amen is at the end of the third bracha of benching. When you say Avnei Yerushalayim Yerakedesh B'Meir V'Yameinu Baruch Atah Hashem B'nei Berachmav Yerushalayim Amen. Even then, there's a tesis in brachas and brought down in halacha. You shouldn't say that Amen loud. That Amen you say quietly. But why do you say Amen there? Now, by the Sfardim, they have a lot of times, like Shemer Sami Yisrael Lo'ad, they'll say Amen. They have a bunch of more times that they'll actually say Amen after their own bracha. By Ashkenazim, it's only the bracha B'nei Vrachim Yerushalayim Amen. Why do you say Amen then? Because Amen then is to differentiate between the first three brachas of benching, which is biblical minatayda, and the fourth bracha kelavina teva meitiv. All that was added much later, after David and Shlomo. Like we said already many times, the first bracha of benching, Moshe Rabbeinu instituted when the man fell. The second bracha, when they conquered the land, when Yericho fell, Yeshua made a bracha neidolcha aletz chem de teva bracha ta Hashem alor Israel amazin. David and Shlomo made the third bracha of an Yerushalayim Erkesh Malchus Beis David Mishichecha bracha ta Hashem b'nei vrachim Yerushalayim amin. The fourth bracha benching was added hundreds and hundreds of years later. So it's not biblical, it's only rabbinic. Therefore, to differentiate between the biblical brachas of benching, the first three, and the last one, so we say Amen, just to make a difference between the biblical and the rabbinic. Okay. People, again, we said after Yishtavach, some people say Amen, Shemer Sami Yisrael, they say Amen, and so on. Okay. Next is the dinam of Birchas HaShachar, the morning brachas. Now, if somebody's up a whole night, so even in Kitzi says, after Yalna Amud HaShachar, they can make all Birchas HaShachar, they say all of brachas, except Netilas Yadayim, and Alakai Neshama is questionable. Chabad custom is, by the way, the Friedrich Rebbe wrote that Chabad custom is we say all the brachas if you're up all night, Netilas Yadayim, Alakai Neshama, we say them all. Now, after... Yeah, but even not. You say Asher Yotzar because you're a Beri Chadosha, you're like a new person. So that bracha they would say anyway. Okay, now the bracha, now what happens if a guy goes to sleep and he wakes up 3 o'clock in the morning and he's staying up for the night? So the thing is he could say brachas then, if he's not going back to sleep. The only thing is, the Rebbe says, the bracha of Anesin Lasech Vivino, you can make after midnight if you hear the rooster. That's what the Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch. But all the other brachas, if you get up after halachic midnight, yeah, after halachic midnight, Chatzei Slaila, and you're staying up for the night and you're not going back to sleep, you can say all the brachas then.
What if you say the brachas and you intended not to go back? You sleep afterwards, like an hour?
Then you don't say the brachas again.
When you wake up again, that's it.
You said them already.
So what if you wake up 4:30, you don't say the Anakim Sivri?
Yeah, it's already almost day. It means like you wake up 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, then you have to wait.
We'll find the rule. So if you wake up at 4:30, you say the brachas, but you don't do shachars yet.
No, you don't do shachar. It's too early for shachar.
It's just the brachas.
If you want, you can do brachas. You can wait. But if you want to do something, you want to eat, you want to do things, then you should say brachas first. The first thing a Jew does is say davening to Hashem, so to speak. So.
I I asked it, but I'm not sure. What if you wake up at 3 in the morning to say Shema because you forgot? Then what, you have to say the bracha still?
No, you could say Shema. If you're going back to sleep,
Yes.
if you're going back to sleep, you say Shema, and then you go back to sleep. When you wake up in late afternoon, you make you say brachas. Now it's interesting. There's a bracha, for instance, Pekech Ivrim. Simply means Hashem opens up the eyes of the blind. So the question is, can a blind person say that bracha or not? Because they don't see, so they don't have open eyes. So the din is you're allowed to say it because people that help them benefit from eyesight. So therefore the blind person is benefiting from eyesight, not his own, but the fact that other people are able to see and therefore they're able to help him, so he can also say the bracha B'Kech Ivrim. Okay, let's see, okay. That's not relevant. Okay, now, once time of davening comes, you're not allowed to do anything until you daven. That's the halacha. You're not allowed to do anything until you daven. Now, some people say if you say brachas, so then b'diavad you can, if you say things are very important and you didn't daven, you could do them before davening. But ideally, a person cannot work, do business, or go on a journey. They can't travel before they say brachas. Before they daven. Unless if somebody's traveling to a minyan, and therefore they're traveling for the minyan, not just traveling, they're going for the minyan, so then they can also go, then they can leave before daven. Okay.